To the Snapped podcast. My name is Tyler Kluver, and let's consider this a personal audio journal of mine. A lot of rambling, a lot of random stuff, anything relevant in my personal life that has to do with health, fitness, diet, business, being an entrepreneur, and simply trying to unlock the avenues of personal growth that help me find the most happy, fulfilling, and free life that I can live. I hope that you guys can take something away from the show and maybe find some entertainment in it as well. Thank you so much for listening, and let's get to it. All right. Well, this episode was supposed to happen like 9 episodes ago. I believe that this is episode 109. In fact, I could just check that right now. Yeah. This is episode 109 of the podcast. Welcome in to the Snapped Pod. This episode is being recorded on January 18th, and the last 4 episodes, well, I guess, depending on when this comes out, we're recording 4 episodes today. We're doing deep work. One of the episodes was on deep work. Not sure what order these are going to go in. I think this might be the first one posted of the ones that we record today. None of that matters because you're here for the actual content and not to hear about the structuring of the content. So today, again, like I said, this is supposed to be one that happened at episode 100. I think I was planning it for. Um, this is going to be what I've learned in 100 episodes. It's now 110 episodes almost of solo podcasting. And that may sound like a boring topic, but I think it's interesting when you think about it because for those that don't know, for those that have never tried, for those that have little experience on a microphone, it's hard to talk. It's harder than you think. We have conversations every day with people, but those are prompted. Those are having somebody to respond to, someone who's asking you questions, posing alternate theories, giving you topics, and there's the first yawn of the day. If you yawn and you just talk about yawning, that's easy to fill space with. But conversations are easy in person. And because we've done it so much, because that's the normal function of talking, which is in real life, not just on a microphone that's recorded, we're okay with pauses. There's natural breaks in conversation. Today, we have cell phones and TV and electronics to fill the void. And that's not really the case when you're on a podcast, especially when you're by yourself. This is a 10 to 15 minute recording, uh, sometimes as long as 45 minutes. I think I've gone for almost an hour on here before, and it's just me. There's no one to prompt me, and quite honestly, I I put myself at even more of a disadvantage because although I do keep a small outline here on the second monitor of what I want to talk about, um, it's it's not as prepared or structured or outlined as you would think. And so I just get on here, the time's ticking away, and I feel like it's one of those things where, hey, what makes you good at podcasting? And I'm not even saying I'm good at podcasting, although at this point I've done over 500 podcasts, whether it be the walk-ons, this show, or as a guest on shows. I've also done, gosh, at this point, upwards of 50 hours of radio uh, shows post Hawkeye games. And so, I've put in the time, right? I've put in a fair amount of time here on the microphone. And I just think there's some stuff and maybe some general concepts to go over and rack my brain through from what I've learned in these first 110 episodes. So it's not going to be a long episode. This might be 10 or 12 minutes long, but I just wanted to go over it. The first one is speaking without a script. And it's not like, again, it's not like we have these scripts in life, but there is a general construct of conversations that you have. There's very solidified built-in topics right? If you're at work and you're going over a project, or you're in a meeting, those are extremely outlined and for the most part known, right? Maybe the nuance of which words you choose in that conversation aren't, but that is just where our minds work in natural conversation. But the big heavy topics are out there. You kind of know where you're anchored to and where the other people in the conversation are anchored to. And again, the big one here is what I've learned solo podcasting, right? So speaking without a script, there's a lot of, and I think I've gotten better at it, but it's crazy to me how much I still do it. And that is fill the space with um or uh the ums and uhs. It killed me early in the podcasting career, let's say 2 or 3 years ago. At that point I was already a year in, but I simply wasn't comfortable with letting there be space. Like I'm about to say this sentence and then stop for a second and there will be space, and I was not comfortable with that. And what you realize is that sounds better than going, I'm about to talk and there's going to be space and I was not comfortable with that. Uh it sounds so unplanned. It sounds unprofessional. It sounds like you're unsure of yourself. And maybe one of those things that I've learned is, and I wouldn't necessarily call this public speaking, but the more succinct and slow and on tempo, learning to use voice inflection, volume, and very planned and precise pauses is what makes you sound at least like you know what you're doing and more confident. People will listen to you a little bit more. So that's the first thing. The second is that more reps simply equal more preparedness. There's, uh, there's not a lot to talk about here. There's no substitute for time in the game, and this has been a theme of my life. Probably in the three most important things that my life has featured, which is, and I guess you could probably say four now, with the kid, and I could even give examples with the kid being born, even though we're just 33 days into life here. Long snapping and my football career, fitness and my exercise fitness athlete career, podcasting, which is now the other half of what I do, right? The fitness and then the media side of things, and then now with being a dad, there's maybe no better repetition than a kid living and surviving on you 24 hours a day, right? Since that kid was born, it's been, other than a couple days in the hospital where there's some help and they kind of push you out into the ocean slowly. Every diaper change, every time the baby cries, every time you need to go to take a bath, every time you need to put them down for bed, you're getting reps. And the first few times, you know, changing a diaper feels a little awkward. It's slow. You don't really have a routine to it. Now, just 1 month in, and there's plenty more diapers to be changed over the next 4 years of having small children, 5 years. It's it's like it's easy. Kid goes through 8 to 10 diapers a day. At this point, between my wife and I, we've changed 300, 350 diapers. Those reps add up quickly and you start to learn. Similar to the long snapping career, I can remember back to in high school when I would practice every day. I tried to get 75 to 100 long snaps a day, definitely in the spring and summer. in the fall when football season was happening, obviously I would get those worked into practice. And in the winter it was a little harder, but I would do rep after rep after rep. And there was a physical, visual representation of that when the grass in my front yard of my childhood home was worn down so much from my feet standing in the same spot, snapping the ball, that eventually the grass didn't grow anymore. It was just two, what looked to be two very large footprints because your feet slide. There's probably two 18-inch foot width marks in the grass that were just dirt. And those reps they just counted for something, and they helped me become really, really good. Like I mentioned, podcasting, the whole idea of being on this microphone, 500 plus episodes and another 50 to 70 hours of radio that I've done in the past couple of years. It's a lot of reps, and you just get better. And I think that if I went back and listened to not only the how I talk and present topics in episodes 1 through 20 of this show, um, but also, the reps of knowing that a better microphone works better, a better software helps. Certain things make the show better. There is no substitute for time in the game, and that's a big one. Um, Consistency is underrated. That's probably the third thing here. Speaking without a script, reps equal preparedness, and consistency is very underrated. A lot of people always ask, like, why is the washed up walk on so successful? Why have I been so successful in the fitness and health stuff that I do? Not just my own fitness and health, but um, being a coach and helping other people. And it's consistency. It's not sexy. It's probably the least sexy thing there is. A low intensity integration with high intensity consistency, right? Doing a couple simple, easy things every day that you don't see the progress, you don't see the forward progression of movement, of advancement of whatever you're doing on the date time frame, or maybe even on the weekly time frame, but 3, 6 months, 12 months down the road, you look back and you go, "Holy shit, the consistency works." And that's a huge theme in fitness and diet, losing weight, gaining muscle, all those things. It's the same thing with the podcast. I've tried to be as consistent as possible. We missed an episode a couple weeks ago. We probably miss on this show, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 weeks a year. So we're probably pumping out 40 to 45 episodes of this podcast a year. And that level of consistency means something. And it means something in everything. And then finally, I think this one's my favorite is it's just important to have a creative outlet. I mean, that honestly is what this is. This is not meant to be a a super entertaining or consumable podcast. And maybe over time I am trying to turn it into that, but in the beginning this was a way to document the the month of ice cream that I ate and a little self experiment. And then after that it's just turned into again, like I say in the intro, it's an audio journal of my personal fitness endeavors, goals, competitions, training, and then my thoughts on a bunch of things relevant to fitness, health, and maybe sometimes business. And if I didn't have this podcast to talk on for, I don't know, an average of 20 to 30 minutes each week, then my wife would have to listen to that more, or I'd have to tell my friends about it more, or I'd have to post more about it on social media because it's something I care about. It's something I enjoy. And this is the way of processing it. This is a way of producing something from. This is an extra effort, an extra piece of content, an extra benefit product of me doing all of those things. And so, whether it's writing or making videos or art or podcasting, whatever it may be, writing music, playing music. I think it's really, really important to have a creative outlet and with no expectation. Something you can do with no expectation. I do not care how many listens this podcast gets. I don't necessarily even try to get more listeners. I don't care on a super high level how the episodes sound. I don't really care how much I outline the episodes. I simply get on here as a therapeutic exercise. And I believe over time, again, reps in the game, it will craft itself into a more and more consumable product that people will enjoy and continue to enjoy, and may or may not get more popular. But it's good for me. And sometimes you have to do stuff that is good for you. So that is the episode. What I've learned solo podcasting in 100 episodes, 110. And thanks for listening. Hopefully, you can take something from that. Find a creative outlet, find some consistency, time in the game, all stuff that's important. Thanks for tuning in to the Snap Podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.